new square which we just left behind. Back then it was more of a murky sailors area, teeming to the very brim with sailors, alcohol and ladies of the night. But it's changed a lot in the years since then, become a popular spot here in Copenhagen where we see a lot of activity, especially throughout the summer. Folks from all over the world visiting, so well as Danes, to enjoy a walk alongside the sunny side of Nyhavn here on our left-hand side. Vi er nu på vej ud af Nyhavnskanalen, som blev udgravet for 350 år siden for at skabe en forbindelse mellem havet og Kongens Nytorv, som vi lige har forladt. Dengang der var det et skuffet sømandskvarter med fjertilførende glædesbiler, men der ændrede sig meget i årene siden blevet et populært sted her i København, hvor vi ser en del aktivitet, især i løbet af sommeren. Popping into view. This is the Royal Danish Opera House, which opened in 2008 with the famous words, "To be or not to be." Because of course it opened with Shakespeare's Hamlet. And the reason why it opened with Hamlet, well, that's because Hamlet takes place in a Danish castle, of course, known as Amalienborg. You can visit that a little bit further north in the city of Elsinore if you want to immerse yourself in a bit of Shakespeare. The building was designed by Lundgaard and Tranberg. Set her på vores venstre hånd har vi det kongetætte skuespilhus, som åbnede i år 2008 med en fremstilling af Hamlet. Det fik vi et kort uddrag af, hvor ingen skriver. Man vælger at åbne den med Hamlet på grund af Hamlet foregår på Kronborg Slot, som man altid kan besøge, og man har lyst til at leve sig ind i lidt Shakespeare. Selve bygningen blev designet af Lundgaard og Tranberg. Right-hand side, we have an ongoing construction project on the Paper Island to be finished in 2025, an array of new beautiful apartments and condos, so well as a new indoor swimming facility. The condos are all finished and have all been sold at soaring prices between 5 to 80 million Danish crowns. Put quite simply, I will never live there. Derfor var så happy with the views of our lives. On our right hand side we have this large building with an even larger roof. This is the Opera House, dating back to 2005, used from the Mouse Company. The building was designed as a well-crafted love letter to the musical arts, and you can see that even here from the outside. Just now we're coming up on the outer shell of the main auditorium, which is clad in maple wood, the very same wood used for string instruments, and layered like strings across an instrument as well. You also have the outer wall consisting of individual bricks that each produce musical notes when you knock on them. So with your very bare hands you can play music on the side of the Opera House. It was designed by Henning Larsen, a Danish architect. Set her på har vi operahuset, som stammer tilbage fra 2005 i en gave fra Mærsen. Bygningen blev designet med en formkærlighed og musik, der også kan nydes fra ydersiden. Vi har blandt andet yderskallen af hovedauditoriets med klædt i ahorntræ. Det selv samme træ, der bliver brugt til strygeinstrumenter. Og så er der også ydervæggen, som består af individuelle mursten, der hver især producerer musikalske noder, når man banker på dem. Så med ens bare hænder kan man spille musik på siden af operahuset. Det blev designet af Henning Larsen, og ja, jeg har selv personligt stået deroppe og slået på siden af bygningen. Det passer altså. Den spiller musik. You'll also notice here on our right hand side in the distance, beyond the cranes, we have this large industrial building with a mighty chimney trickling away. That is Copenhagen. Copenhagen is one of the most modern incinerators in the world today. Here they burn through 500,000 tons of waste throughout a year. There's so much waste, we need to import waste from other countries just to meet the sheer potential of the building. And if there's any skiing enthusiasts among you who find yourselves saddened by the lack of mountains in flat Denmark, well, look no further. With this impressive height of 85 meters. It is the tallest mountain in Copenhagen, and it features its very own ski slope on top. That's right, you can go skiing down that incinerator all year round if you so please. You can even rent a pair of ski up there if you forgot your own at home. Se derude på vores højre hånd har vi en stor industriel bygning. Det er Amalienborg, det mest moderne forbrændingsanlæg i verden i dag. Her brænder de igennem 500.000 ton skrald i løbet af et år. Så meget skrald vi er nødt til at importere skrald fra andre lande, bare for at møde bygningens potentiale. Herudover kan vi godt lide at snakke op på toppen. Man kan tage sig en tur ned hele året. Man kan også lege på ski deroppe. Also seen here on our right hand side, we get this long grey war vessel with F352 written on the side of it. This is a frigate known as Picturesque, and it was deployed during the Cold War, and it is incredibly famous. Not for the deployment, but rather for an accident that happened in 1982. The accident happened during a routine exercise when one of the men on board turned a malfunctioning key. Off went a missile straight into a summer vacation spot. 134 summer houses were hit in the explosion, a total disaster, but thankfully nobody was present or hurt in the explosion. It was only structural damage, but a bit of a disaster nonetheless. It ended up earning the official title in newspapers all throughout Denmark, the Whoopsie missile. Vessels open as a museum throughout the summer. Se her på vores højre hånd, der har vi et langt grønt krigsskib. Det er brigaden Picturesque, som blev udsendt under den kolde krig, men mest af det kendt for et uheld, der skete tilbage i 1982. Uheldet involverede et besætningsmedlem, der varede en defekt nøgle og sendte et missil direkte i et sommerhus. 134 sommerhuse blev ramt i eksplosionen. En total katastrofe. Heldigvis var der ingen til stede, og derfor ingen, der kom noget til. Det var dog lidt af en fiasko alligevel, og den fik lov til at hedde Rosa missil. Battery 60s is known because one cannon goes off twice a day. Northern side of the globe, sunrise throughout the summer. That's 4 o'clock in the morning. And the royal family on the other side of the harbour, they didn't quite fancy waking up to cannon shots 4 o'clock in the morning all summer long. So it was declared and decreed that here in Denmark the sun rises at 8 o'clock sharp, and not a minute before. That's when the cannon goes off. Som lige fortalt på engelsk, Battery 60 er kendt, fordi der er en kanon, der skyder af 2 gange om dagen. En gang ved solopgang og en gang ved solnedgang, så lød det originalt. Men det blev dog lidt for tidligt hen over sommeren med kanonbrageri kl. 4 om morgenen herude i havnen, så det blev bestemt, at i Danmark, der står solen altså op kl. 8, og ikke et minut før. Det er også der, man kan høre kanonslaget. Det kan man også ved solnedgang. And as we make a turn here, if you look to your right, you'll see we have this crane on our right with black and white. Particularly brave. You can jump out with 2 lines. One stops you just shy of the water, and with the other line, you get a little dip into the water as part of the jump, if you dare. Now, when they originally opened the bungee jumping crane, they opened it with a bit of a commercial stunt. They said, you can jump for free if you jump entirely naked. Turned out to be very popular. A lot of folks showed up and dropped their clothes, and when they started seeing naked people every day, can you believe it, they regretted the offer. These days, if you want to jump out naked, I'm afraid you have to pay for it. Her på vores højre hånd, der har vi bungee jump kran, hvor man kommer ud med 2 linjer. Den ene linje stopper lige før havets overflade, og den anden linje, den gør ikke. Så får man sig en dukkert ned i havnen, som en del af springet. And here in just a moment, we're going to be arriving at what many consider to be the main attraction on the tour, the largest, smallest attraction on offer in Copenhagen, the most photographed woman in the entirety of Denmark. She's coming up on our right-hand side mere seconds from now. Så når vi til højdepunktet på turen, hun kommer her på vores højre hånd, den mest fotograferede kvinde i Danmark. I would suggest you find your best smiles because we're about to be on the back of a lot of photographs. And there you have her. Ladies and gentlemen, on our right hand side, allow me to introduce you to the very Little Mermaid. Så har vi så på vores højre hånd, mine damer og herrer, det er den lille havfrue. Now the Little Mermaid, she's been sat here on her rock since 1913 and was originally a gift from the Carlsberg breweries. Specifically, it was the brewer Carl Jacobsen who fell in love with the character after seeing her in a ballet performance based on the popular narrative from Hans Christian Andersen. Since then, he decided to have her immortalized in statue form and put her on her rock where she has been almost immortal ever since. A bit more than that in just a second. Den lille havfrue stammer tilbage fra 1913 og originalt en gave fra Carlsberg-bryggerierne. Specifikt så det bryggeren Carl Jacobsen, som forelskede sig i karakteren efter han så hende i en balletfremstilling, og siden der valgte at få hende udødeliggjort i statueform og sat der på stenen. These are the Royal Pavilions of Copenhagen. This is where you'll find the royal family whenever they're about to board the royal yacht. The one with the crown on top, that's where the royal family waits. The one they gracefully building with blue windows, these are the Maersk headquarters. Maersk is one of the largest container shipping lines in the entire world, sailing out to 123 different countries. The building itself is meant to resemble their craft. Do you see it? Containers stacked one upon another in rows upon rows, and the blue and the logo coming up in the tents there, that is a Maersk blue. They own that particular shade of blue for commercial use worldwide. Se her på vores højre hånd, der har vi Mærsks hovedkvarter. Mærsk er en af de største containershipping-selskaber i hele verden. De sælger til 123 forskellige lande. Selve bygningen skal forestille containere, der er blevet sat i stilles. Og blå farver til logoet her på teltet på højre hånd, og på den danske blå. De ejer den branche af blå til kommercielt brug på verdensplan. Selve teltene har man sat op, fordi de arbejder på deres nye hovedkvarter derinde. Og så har man præsending over arbejdspladsen, så folk, der er derinde, der er altid i tørvejr. Ikke så der ikke en idé. And of course we have one of these many different old-fashioned landscape around us steam here. They built crest of a seahorse there in front of the ship. Quite beautiful sight. Her på vores højre hånd, der har vi en af de gamle forrækkede skibe. 2 master som er med og tager afsted. Vi har en del af dem her langs gamle Frankfurt. Now on our right hand side we will also see this long garden. This is the Amalienborg garden, the foreground to what may very well be the most jaw-dropping backdrop we're going to experience on the tour. That being Amalienborg Palace in its entirety. We're going to be built for a handful of noble families. However, due to a fire in 1794, the old royal castle, known as Christiansborg Castle, burned to the ground. So the royal family had to move, and they moved out here, where they remained, making this the Royal Palace of Denmark. Amalienborg Slot stammer tilbage fra 1749 og blev originalt bygget til en håndfuld af adelige familier, men grundet en brand i 1794, så mister vi det originale Christiansborg Slot. Derfor blev de kongelige nødt til at rykke ud hertil, hvor de så har boet selvfølgelig lige siden. In the far back you can see the marble church, and the marble church was a grand undertaking, mainly in that it cost a bit too much money. So for 145 years it stood there unfinished, a bit of an eyesore, until they finally scraped together the means necessary to crown it with the largest church dome in the entirety of Scandinavia, and it is absolutely marvellous. On the inside, the cage with oyster shells. Vi går her, såvel som strømmer og andre autoriteter her i havnen. Og en af de nyeste ting, som vi har gjort, er stålfruer med østerskaller og ruslinger i, som hænger langs kajene i landet. Det er så sikre områder for de truede fiskearter her i havnen. Her kan fiskene svømme ind i burerne og gemme sig, and so started a lot of wars, of which we didn't win a single one. Waterways belonged of kings. But I'll tell you what, he had an eye for architecture, and we're going to see elements of that as we make our way into the Christiansborg Canal in just a moment. Nu er vi så småt på vej i Christiansborg Kanal, som er blevet bygget af Christian den 4. en utrolig kendt konge i Danmark for diverse bedrifter, blandt andet hans 23 børn. I mange krige han startede, men altså vandt. Så var der selvfølgelig også det, han brugte hele statskassen.
Og bygge bygninger.
Ja, det var nogle flotte bygninger, og det ser vi en smule af ved Christiansborg Kanal. Især senere på turen, hvor vi skal se nogle andre af hans flotte værker. As we make our way into the Christiansborg Canal, we will be entering the next mile, a quiet city. All I can mention in here are bridges as well as one church. Otherwise, the fire is going to start right after this bridge. I takt med, at vi går ind i Christiansborg Kanal, så kommer vi lige, hvad der er blevet til et stille sommerhus. Everybody, as we go under the bridge, that's how we learn it. Thank you. And cool, wet zone. After the bridge on our left, our service church. Lige her efter broen får vi et ganske kort kig ind til vores frelserkirke. Det kommer til at være her på vores venstre hånd. Man can see the beautiful church. 400 steps all the way up to the top is quite a walk. We can view, but it gives yourself a beautiful view. We take a trip all the way up to the top of for just 60 days ground. You can walk up there, look all the way up this week and several fast. You can see Western folks up there right now, potentially regretting their decision. And of course, in the far back of the boat, we are being so patient. Here's a moment coming up now between the bridge and the tree, the perfect moment to get a picture of the church in its entirety, and that is our Saviour's church. Så nu på vores venstre arm, som jeg har været bedre på frelse kirke, finder trin af fortommen, den går til at gå til med fundet, og det går til at tage turen derop, der kan tage 50 kroner, så kan man se hele vejen over til Sverige, hvis man har lyst til det allerbedste på, selvfølgelig får vi nu på vores venstre arm, det er bare vores frelse kirke. Ja, vi kan. So then here in just a moment, we're going to go under the Circle Bridge. The Circle Bridge was designed by Olafur Eliasson, a Danish Icelandic artist, and he wanted it to look like the top of the masted ships out here in our harbour to help it blend in with the harbour atmosphere. For me personally, my favourite bridge in the tour, I think it's brilliantly designed. 5 crow's nests linked together to create that illusion of an old-fashioned ship. Vi er nu på vej under Cirkelbroen, designet af Olafur Eliasson, en dansk-islandsk kunstner. Han skulle lige sammen med de mastede skibe for at hjælpe med havneatmosfæren. For mig personligt, min favoritbro på turen, jeg synes, den er vældig. Now directly ahead of the boat, we also get this large black building. This is the newest part of the Royal Library, dating back to 1999. And it is known as the Black Diamond. As you can see, the building leans 7 degrees towards the water's surface, so when the sun is just right in the morning, it reflects off of the ocean and is cast up on the side, making it glow and glitter as were it a diamond. Hence the name, the Black Diamond. På vores Nyhavn har vi en sorte diamant, nyeste del af det kongelige bibliotek, som stammer tilbage fra 1999. Selve bygningen hælder 7 grader hen mod vandets overflade, så når solen er helt rigtig om morgenen, bliver den afspejlet i havet, kastet op på siden som stråler og som var det en diamant. Derifra navnet den sorte diamant. A little bit further ahead of us on our right, we have this large green building with blocks written on the side. This is the Danish Architecture Center. The building is meant to resemble Lego blocks that have been put together spontaneously. And they chose the Lego motif specifically as by their logic, every great Danish architect begins with Lego. Granted, Lego is a Danish invention, so there might be a bit of bias at play. Set her på vores venstre hånd, der har vi blocks hjemmet til det danske arkitekturcenter. Selve bygningen skal forestille Lego-klodser, der er blevet sat sammen spontant. Man valgte Lego-motivet på grund af, at deres logik starter hver eneste dygtige dansk arkitekt med Lego. Mind your heads, everybody. Pas på hovederne. Thank you. Seen here on our right hand side, we have a red brick building, Christiansborg Brew House, dating back to 1608. I'll tell you a little bit more about it after this bridge comes in. From this brew house, the king would give out to each Danish soldier 10 liters or 2.6 gallons of beer every day. Every day. That's just part of the pay back then. You see, the water in Copenhagen, so well as the surrounding area, it was too polluted to drink. And so, we Danes, we survived off of beer, of course. Even the children got to drink back then. Thankfully though, the alcohol percentage was a great deal lower, so it wasn't entirely terrible, and that was lucky, because we drank a lot. Between 4 to 6 liters per adult a day, 2 to 4 liters per child. And that was because we ate so much salted, smoked and dried food back then, we were always working up a thirst. And how did you deal with that thirst? With beer. On an entirely unrelated note, we also lost all of the wars back then. No idea why. Vi lige sælger forbi Christiansborg Palace, som stammer tilbage fra 1608. Herfra der gav kongen ud til hver eneste danske soldat 10 liter øl om dagen. Nok til de kunne forsørge sig selv såvel som deres familie. Det var grundet det, at dengang var grundvandet for forurenet til at drikke. Derfor måtte man leve af øl i stedet. Selv børnene fik lov til at drikke øl dengang, og der blev drukket meget. Mellem 4 til 6 liter per voksen om dagen. 2 til 4 liter per barn. Mind your heads, pas på hovederne. Grunden til, at man drak så meget dengang, det var fordi, man spiste så meget røget, tørret og saltet mad, at man altid var tørstig. Hvordan slukker man tørsten? Øl. Millions up on our right is all that remains of the original Christiansborg Castle that burned down in 1794. Vi er nu på vej under marmorbroen, som samlede pavillonen op på vores højre hånd, alt hvad der tilbage af det originale Christiansborg Slot, som brændte ned i 1794. Although it is called the Marble Bridge, it is not made from marble. It is made from sandstone and was then painted to look like marble, so they cheated a little bit. Vi er nu på vej, som sagt, ind over marmorbroen, som på trods af dens navn ikke er lavet af marmor, den er lavet af sandsten, og så har man så farvet den til at den skulle ligne marmor. And coming up directly ahead of the boat, we have perhaps the main spectacle on the tour. This is your phones and everything you hold dear inside the boat. Be extra mindful. It's going to be a snug fit in here. Pas på arme og albuer, hoveder, hæler, alt hvad I holder kat. I see an elbow in the far back. Gentlemen, can you get it back in? Could you poke our friend in the back, get his elbow inside the boat? To the gentleman in the back, elbow is in. Thank you. Under the bridge. Just like so, we escape the clutch, but they've been seated ever since. You'll notice on your left-hand side we have a statue constable as the Supreme Court, and the room on the right-hand side are the sad remains. Ja, og med stort tab i dansk kulturarv, find your heads, pas på hovederne. Jeg kan også fortælle jer, at der var hele bygningen i 6 lange dage, så ved jeg, fordi kanalfarten var rent faktisk aktiv, så folk fra hele verden rundt så tragedien udfolde sig lige foran øjnene på dem. Det var noget af en rejse. Heldigvis så skal den genbygges, det kommer bare til at tage rigtig lang tid. Seen here on our left-hand side, a slightly lighter note, we have the National Bank, designed by Arne Jacobsen. He's known most of all for furniture design, but he was also an architect, and this is regarded as his masterpiece, finished in 1978. Now, masterpiece or not, it has an interesting flaw. Do you see it? The last pillar, different color of marble. And that's because they were renovating the building recently. Brand beautiful. It damaged differently. That looks like that. Directly ahead of the boat we have a white building with green doors and an orange roof. This is the Nikolai Eiffel warehouse, named after the man who built it, Nikolai Eiffel, and it is quite famous for having two very distinct sides. The story goes that looking at the time, you can see this building up the Christiansborg Palace and the Tuscany with scenic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so Eiffel installed, as you can see on our right, the green gates, the arches, the windows, the these which matches the upper panel. The other side, however, they picked but not to be, so people are in the building, and you can tell how interested Eiffel was in the opinion of the rest of them. Set på facaden har vi Eiffels parkeringsganske på 2 forskellige sider. Det er en side, hvor vi gør det mange korte, så venstre og korte til den anden side. Ja. Der er der så ikke meget at skrive hjemme. Så den går så på, at Eiffel skulle stå på bygningen, og han kunne videre, der han kom ned. Det skulle være så smukt som overhovedet muligt. Det er for de 2 sider, man kan se på den. Den anden side var tiltænkt den danske. Seen here on our left-hand side, we have a long green building with a clock up top. This is the old ferry terminal and customs office here in our harbour. We used to have a lot of ferry traffic in these waters, that is until the year 2000 came along, when we built the Eresund Bridge spanning between Denmark and Sweden. And so all the ferry traffic slowly moved on over there. Since then, the ferry terminal has been home to many different concepts. Most recently, it was bought up to give us inside. Her på vores venstre hånd, der har vi gamle færgeterminaler og toldbåd her i Københavns Havn, og det er en færgetrafik før i tiden. Vi ser det over 2000, hvor vi bygger Øresundsbroen, hvor det alt, der hedder færgetrafik derude i stedet. Siden der har færgeterminalen været hjemme til diverse forskellige koncepter. For nylig er det blevet til en privatklub for kunstnere og designere. Der er også en restaurant derinde, der er en dansk. Never guess its name, it's the Inner Harbour. Yes. The Inner Harbour Bridge, which is also known for its nickname, the Kissing Bridge, as the two sides do not open upwards, no, they slide apart, and then back together.
Right in the middle, for a smooch, the Kissing Bridge.
Vi er nu på vej ind under Nyhavnsbroen, også kendt for sit kælenavn, det vil sige Kysserbroen, i de 2 sider ikke går opad. Vi kører hver til sit, så sammen igen, mødes på midten for et kys, og nu er alting dur, som det skal. As we go under the bridge, you can look here to your left-hand side, or your right, and you'll be able to see the spool mechanism a little insight into the powers of play whenever the bridge slides open. Så kan vi gå ind under Indhavnsbroen, kan man kigge til venstre eller højre, så kan man se spolen, som man bruger til at åbne broen. Vi indsigt i, hvordan det foregår her i Indhavnsbroen. And here in just a moment, we're going to be returning to the Nyhavn Canal, where we started our tour. Så vi så smart på vej tilbage til Nyhavn, hvor vi startede turen. We have a little bit of oncoming traffic, but then right after we'll be carrying on inside. Så we'll gå ind og kigge her, men vi kommer til at tage turen ind her lige bagefter. Now then, while we're here bumping in the waters, waiting to go into the Nyhavn Canal, I can tell you that this is where Hans Christian Andersen lived for the majority of his life. The famous fairy tale writer of Danish origin who lived here throughout 20 years at 3 different addresses and wrote many of the popular fairy tales within these colourful surroundings. A total of 156 fairy tales he wrote throughout his lifetime, most popular of which ended up being The Little Match Girl, The Ugly Duckling, and of course, The Little Mermaid. Tak for at vi vender tilbage til Nyhavn. Jeg kan fortælle jer det her. H.C. Andersen, han boede størstedelen af hans liv. Her boede han i løbet af 20 år på 3 forskellige adresser. Han skrev mange af de populære eventyr i disse farvelige omgivelser. 156 eventyr skrev han i alt i løbet af hans livstid. De mest populære deriblandt, Stine og Svovlstikkerne, Den Grimme Ælling, og selvfølgelig En Lille Havfrue. And in a moment, we're going to be going under the first, the last, the lowest bridge in the tour. So of course, remain seated and mind your heads. Så skal vi ind under den første, sidste og laveste bro på turen. Pas godt på hovederne, og bliv venlig siddende. Thank you. Once again, that is the lowest bridge, den laveste bro. Here in just a moment, our tour will arrive at its conclusion. However, before I let you all go, I'd like to show you one last sight. It's a very small sight. Most people, they miss it when they visit this part of Copenhagen. Many Copenhageners don't know it exists. That's partially because it is not on the famous side of Nyhavn here on our right. Beautiful though it is. No, it is over on the less famous side of Nyhavn here on our left. And it's very well hidden. I'll point it out in just a moment. Perhaps you'll spot it before then. Så får vi den sidste ting med på turen. Den er utrolig godt gennem væk i Nyhavn. De fleste går glip af den. Der er mange, der ikke engang ved, at den eksisterer. Den kommer på venstre hånd nu. Do you see it? Here between these 2 white buildings, we have the most narrow building in the entirety of Copenhagen. So squished it's begun to crack up at the very top, known locally as the pencil due to the shape and form of it, and all they could fit in there was one family and nothing else. Der har vi så på vores venstre hånd den smalleste bygning i København, så klemt den slår revner op i toppen. Kendt lokalt som blyanten, og det eneste man kunne få plads til derinde var en eneste lille familie, og ikke andet. Og hvilket vidunderligt hjem de har sammen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, our tour is going to arrive at its conclusion. If you have any trash, please leave it in the trash cans down the mid-walk. Remember your personal belongings and mind your step as you get off the boat. Så kommer turen til sin ende. Vi siger skrald mig igen efter at skraldspændet langs midtergangen. Du selvfølgelig passe personlig ejendel og pas godt på trinerne ansvar for båden. Otherwise, all that remains to be said is that I've had a wonderful trip with all of you. I hope you had a good one with me. Have a great day here in Copenhagen, and thank you very much.